Let's hear from old Irv. What does that have to do with anybody else? Now, if we're talking about an intimate partner, so let's say I'm with a new man and he wants to know, like, you know, have you been with anybody that maybe I know? I'll tell him. That's a personal, intimate thing. I mean, you wouldn't want somebody, you know what I mean?
But that's what makes it so unique. Mention it. You can't spin the block again. You can't call her and say, hey, that's it.
And to me,
don't talk about
that's what I think it is.
It was transactional and it wasn't more.
Well, because
it's
it's important to know that, I mean, she's never spoken about this.
Exactly.
And we have to remember, I mean, this was 20 years ago. So, I mean, do you feel that there's a statute of limitation when it comes to bringing up your partners?
Yes. It's called.
Are saying that too.
And I have to agree, because as somebody to a guy that old, and that is kind of creepy to me now.
You make mistakes.
And I feel like it's almost predatory. Like, are you trying to like coerce me?
But what goes on in an intermarriage, I mean, you know, you never know the workings. I mean, sometimes people have certain deals that are worked out that maybe somebody can go off and have extra partners, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that when I look about this, you know, situation with a young person who could be very impressionable, not taking away any liability that, you know, she may have in the situation, but it's like you're bringing this up and it's like you're almost holding it over my head, like I still have this. And it's a power play. And I think that's what's really manipulative about it.
It's very manipulative, and I want to add in about the marriage.
Talking about the clout chasing element of it, I mean, I feel like that there's a double standard here, because if a woman goes on and brags about the men that she's been with, or even just talks about one at a public level, I mean, people might call you a slut. So, you know, let's talk about that side.
It's definitely a double standard, but I feel like it's sexist, and I agree. But the difference between us and men, we don't share names, and I think that's what makes it that slut shaming piece or that clout. But wait, it doesn't matter. I still hit that. It's like a you know, a high school basketball star in his 40s still talking about it. You know what I mean?
This user here who, you know, has no chance of ever even getting with Ashanti. I think there are a lot of men here who fantasize about getting with these high status women, and they can't, so they have to say, oh, she's for the streets anyway. That's why I can't have her, you know? And I think that's that whole fox and the sour grapes, you know.
But if the tables were turned and a woman was out saying,
we usually have a little bit more time for other topics, but I guess Irv Gotti's dominating our comments today. So,
walk onto that set, and you all know be in the right mental space to understand the work that I'm about to do, you know, into it, because
regardless, the talent is undeniable. So clearly on P-Valley, you play a very, I want to know about her. Like, how did he and Lisa, how does your wife respond to things like this?
You know, the conception of Lil Murda and everything that he is now. In New York, we kicked it a few times. Be loved, be alike.
I'm so glad that you said that. And let's get back to your character, because we have to ask, as a fan, speaking on behalf of all fans, is there a Lil Murda in?
Your anxiety to help relax your mind. And so the Fonzie does just that. And styling on set, doing all that.
Our research, and we did learn that you had a past in music.
High school, which is notoriously known for its marching band, you know, high step and march.
And it was so great to have you in the Black Girl Stuff house.
Make sure that I had a business that
it's so important, because I mean, you know, recent census data shows that almost half of Black women in the United States have never been married. I mean, what's your take on that?
Also, but you're not looking for compatibility. What makes these
I love that. No, I think that's so important. But when you talk about compatibility specifically, can we, you know, talk about that? Because I'm thinking, you know, middle class. But what if I'm a woman who's middle class, but I want a millionaire?
Well, most people do.
I mean, you know.
Let's just be realistic. When you're at the 1%, you have the pick of the litter. You get to choose what you want, and those people tend to choose half.
You saying they're not gonna choose me?
I'm saying it's possible, but you might want to put your eggs in them. You don't want to ever get into a relationship thinking you're gonna change somebody's mind. Important to you. Don't get into a relationship thinking you're gonna change. Don't change anybody. Whatever they are.
I can't do that.
I know. So some of them are like super picky.
So is it just superficial? I mean, are there other qualities that
definitely influence them?
Well, let's get into the nitty gritty here, okay? Because
was not mentally stable. She showed up at his job at 3 a.m. Oh, wow. I need to know how you. Wow. I need to know that you are mentally.
Are we ready today?
Are they ready?
Need coaching first.
I heard therapy.
We might say it.
Okay, who said that? And I don't think that's a bad deal breaker. I just like, but you also didn't think you had anything to work on, and that is a red flag.
Did I say?
Yes.
No, I didn't. That's not me.
Having an addiction or having a bad relationship with their mom. I think
that was me too.
And the no ambition goes many ways. I feel like we hear no ambition and we say career, but it's also.
I think there's anyone on here that would not be a candidate for my services. Honestly, I would.
That ain't no. Welcome to our house, Jock.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, so Jock, we're going to jump right into this. You know, we face many challenges.
A month ago, we talk regularly, but
It is.
you just figuring this out. I've been trying to tell this. Forced, and he initiated it. And I think that's one of the first signs of that he's finally starting to give it back like that. And I'm like, that sounded like something I said. Yeah. So that we talk about it enough, because when we communicate, it has to be, what is the substance of the information? What are you actually transferring? But I'm more like, son, listen, let's think about tomorrow. Let's not get caught.
That social DNA has changed because you're
being on shows or being an entertainer, that has nothing to do with it.
But he's, a disciplinarian, right? And so when I was growing up, it was hard to absorb a lot of that, advice, and it came in a very strict, very firm manner. It was always no, so it created this distance when I was younger with my dad, because I didn't want to go to him with anything, because I knew the answer was no.
Of course you were. Times were different.
Right.
Society was different. And I would tell any young parent, man, listen, that wasn't supposed to be done in your life. And I would tell a young parent, even though it's like a universal remote, you can but you have to program this possibly for this TV.
Yeah. Well, we got to get into the juicy stuff, though, Doc. I know you can give us all, you're just a wealth of information here, but
You know what I'm saying? That's like, there's a pun about it, you know what I'm saying? Because the whole village expects a certain type of behavior. Right. But endangerment sounds even worse, right? Yeah. So you get that cleared up. It's like, oh, it's not endangerment. You charge people to do a drop for them on their Instagram. How much do you get from that? Establish what we're doing. And her attorney was able to go in and say that, but it's a child support. If there's no child support order, but I've been paying this person. Right. So the judge was just like, well, news is making me look from this mistake. Right. Guard your thoughts at all times. You got to talk to your kids.
What can we expect to see from you on the new season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta? I say it right?
You say it right. Atlanta. Yeah, you put two N's in instead of the TA. You know what I'm saying? I break the ice a lot. This is a little different season for me.
It's personal for you.
Different things with my, you know what I'm saying?
Cloud is a hell of a drug.
Term for that.
Riffs and, we talk mess about people, but sometimes I've come to realize that people be going through stuff that you don't even realize. You think, oh, you crazy, or you looking for clout.
I like that you get a spotlight on mental health, because that's so important. You won't speak disparagingly about Black women, and that's something we stand for on this show. So thank you so much. I cannot wait to check out the new season. miss her on the court.
Yes, right.
About the statistical dominance of Serena Williams, she is one of the greatest athletes of all time.
A beast.
Men and women, okay?
Okay, so Bree, we know you got another boss who